new walls, but you know, libraries are under budgeted right now, so thank you for your patience. We're gonna get this party started. We have a couple guest speakers to get us kicked off. We are going to bring representatives from the Columbus Eagles. They are looking at a proposal about repartnering with the Nordecke. So let's give them our full attention. Guys, come on out. It's audio only, but you guys want to stand here. Use any table space you need.
Before we get started, I want to say I am so impressed to be here and to actually see people this many. I had no clue what we were walking into. I was season ticket holder, but not in Nordecke. I'm way on the other end. And you guys bring energy and make it fun. So before we get started, I have to say thank you because I love all the crazy things you do. And I was hoping I'd get to see somebody with their face painted.
That's normally me.
Good. Okay. Well then, no, I'm okay. Well, you know, I wore my black in case you guys wanted to do yellow. No, I'm impressed. So anyway, what a great turnout here, and thank you for giving us time to speak. Just so you know, my name is Kathy Elwood, and this is my colleague Mark Wise. You may know him already, but I wanted to at least start out because I wanted to thank you, and thank you for having us. So it's all yours.
Sweet, thanks. Kathy is one of the couple of new owners in the Columbus Eagles. We're in the process of expanding our ownership group, and in preparation for doing a We Funder raise that we're trying to take part of the Eagles into the public space. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But thanks again for having us here tonight. I know you guys have been so generous in the past to have supported us through a sponsorship over 3 years where you supported our Eagle TV and some other pieces. And we really appreciated that support. The women's side of the game is always scrambling for sponsors and supporters and advertisers, whatever. So when you guys stepped up to do that, really appreciated that. So it's been a couple years since we've had that kind of relationship. And we were approached to talk about the possibility of getting back into some sort of sponsorship and supporting the women's side of the game. So I've given you just a little bit of an overview. You can read through some of that, but the highlights are basically that we're in our 11th year. We are this year playing a game back-to-back with the Crew 2 on May 18th. Invite you all to come to that. Try to make that a special event where we partner with the Crew. I will tell you that the Crew group has been very supportive of us and supportive of what we're trying to accomplish in the city, and I've really appreciated the fact they're doing everything they can to support us within the parameters that they have. So just wanted to let you know that. So one of the ideas, and I'm just tossing these kind of things out, and you guys can think about and comment, make adjustments. One of the ideas I had was for us to do our training or warm-up jerseys to have the Nordecke has our back on the back, and that was something that would get a lot of exposure because the ladies like to wear that tee while they're warming up, and then we switch into the uniforms just before the game starts. So there's a whole bunch of other things in there as well, and I'll be glad to give you the details of the proposal there, but I'm going to open it up a little bit to have some questions. Any questions you have about the Eagles organization, the Eagles team, what we're trying to accomplish in Columbus, just throw a couple things out there and I'll be glad to answer any questions you have.
And as you're thinking about those, I guess I do want to add something. You guys, I speak for a living. Okay, I do a lot of public speaking, and for me to stand up here and be quiet is almost impossible. Okay, so one of the reasons that Mark expanded this ownership group is because we want to bring an NWSL team to Columbus. And in fact, we actually went through the process of trying to find somebody that could afford to be the primary investor. We did all the paperwork. We were under an NDA with NWSL, and we were really supported by them. Unfortunately, our primary investor, who had to have a net worth of about 30 million. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but don't have that kind of money. But anyway, his daughter died, and it was a very tragic situation. So we had to forego that bid, but we didn't give up the dream. So that's point number one. And the point number two about this going public, if you've not ever heard of We Funder, what we're hoping that it's going to do is position us to actually do more to promote the league, promote women's soccer, and elevate the team. And so what we're doing right now is to go back to the organizations that we've worked with in the past, like yourselves, to say, let's restart this and bring some new energy and some new vibe. And so that's another reason that he's dragging me here with them, because I'm like, I am so passionate about women's soccer. I believe it or not, I play soccer. I'm really slow, okay? You got up here, no motion and slow motion. Take your pick, that would be me. But, you know, I do think that, you know, when we talked about Nordecke, the things that you guys have done, you saved the crew. I don't care what anyone wants to say, you made that happen. And, you know, the people that were involved in that, like, they're forever in my hearts. And so I say that with sincerity, respect, and admiration. So with that, I know you probably do have a lot of questions, but I didn't want you to think that we're just here today about the Eagles. We're here about women's sports and racing both women's sports and soccer in this city. I think we can do it, but we're going to need help.
And Kathy didn't also say that our bid was a little bit under the $150 million that Denver finally won that bid. So we were right in talking about the growth of the women's games and the valuations of those teams. But our bid probably would not have been accepted at the level we were considering at that point. But we are looking 2 years down the road to see if we can make that happen again. Any questions about the Eagles and what they're about?
There is one online. Brian Lanoy asks, are you looking to stay in the WPSL or are there ambitions to join the USLW?
Basically, the USL and the WPSL are on similar tiers. The USL does have more levels, and they are introducing a Division I pro level, but the current leagues that are in place are all the May through July leagues. And for us, we're sticking with the league that is currently the oldest and the largest. We have over 150 teams in the U.S. So kept my eye on that USL thing, but they also, that side likes you to have a men's side as well as a women's side. They give preference to teams that can bring both the USL men's team and a women's. And it's been my design from the very beginning that we only focus on the women's team. We don't want the crews here. We don't need to do another men's team, but there is no women's team other than the Columbus Eagles. So great question. Anything else?
NWSL still in the future?
It is possible, but it's, let's say it this way. 8 years ago, we could have gotten a team for $3 million. Okay. 2 years ago, the valuations were $55 million. We were going at about a $75 million price range, and the Denver ended up getting theirs for $150 million. So if you look at the trajectory of the valuation of the teams, it's going to take a huge amount of work to be able to find people in the city, in central Ohio, that are willing to put up that kind of money. Because I don't have it. I'll just say that right up there. I am a promoter, not a financier, although sometimes it is my money that makes things happen. But we need to get people that are willing to invest in that kind of a level of a team.
Do any of you know Taylor Swift or I mean, like, seriously, right? That's what we, you know, when you've got that kind of money, you're going to almost need somebody, you know, that higher profile. But that doesn't mean we don't stop. And my opinion was that Columbus was a very, very great location. And depending on how things go, you never know. They may work with us to make it happen.
Columbus is an ideal location for an NWSL team. You know, they could try to put it in Cleveland, but then they wouldn't be able to draw the people from down south. And they could put it in Cincinnati, and they wouldn't be able to draw the people from up north. Columbus is an ideal location to place an NWSL team in its proximity to Chicago and Washington and the new Boston team, it's a perfect fit. But we do have to find resources to make that happen. So yeah, the stated goal of the Columbus Eagles from day one was to bring professional women's soccer to Columbus. And that hasn't changed. It hasn't wavered. But certainly the circumstances around and the finances around it is changing very quickly across the world. The world's game, the women's game is being picked up and promoted more than it ever has. Yeah.
Got a couple questions. One thing that MLS has really done, especially in recent years, is come into markets where teams already exist and basically just undercut them. Most recently in San Diego, undercut the Loyal and formed their own team. So my first question would be with WPSL, how long has the league been around? And like, what's the viability? And are there any, like, do you have any like non-competes with NWSL at the time for them just like coming in, finding their own financer and plopping a team here? Because it's not uncommon in soccer for whoever has the most money to just stick their flag in the ground.
Sure.
And then also another thing is these leagues can immediately get undercut and lose their funding and become defunct. And so my question would just be like, what's your opinion on the viability of the WPSL for like the next 5 to 10 years?
The WPSL has been in existence since 1996.
Okay.
So it is the oldest and the largest women's, and it has been growing at a rate of 10 to 15% every year. So I don't worry about the WPSL's viability. I worry about the lack of opportunities for the women's side. On the men's side, you've got your Pro 1 level, 2 level, 3rd level, and then you have some lower level semi-pro teams, and then you have your amateur teams. Well, on the women's side, it's NWSL or us. You know, and it is technically a pro-am league. We could be a pro team in the WPSL, but the data doesn't support us doing that at the present time until we get more sponsors, more fans of this teams and all that. So I think that the league is solid, and that's not a problem. The second part of your question was, we have no guarantee that there won't be somebody that swoops in. In fact, while we were doing our bid for the NWSL, here there were rumors of people coming in from outside the town looking for the Columbus area and all that, and all they'd have to do is come in with the bigger bucks.
Right.
And they could come in and take care of that. So that's not something that we can guard against other than being there first and winning the bid. But personally, the objective was to bring professional women's soccer to Columbus, and if it happened to be somebody else that did it, I'll buy a ticket and I'll go and I'll watch. Just fine. Yeah.
So with the We Funder, how many partners do you currently have, and how many are you looking to expand?
On the We Funder, basically, we're going to be offering a percentage of the ownership out to the public, basically. And that it initially was established at around 20%, but we're in a negotiation to talk about preferred stock versus common stock, and it gets to be a little tricky there. But that allows us to offer as much that we'd like to offer. Preferred stock would basically get first dibs on any dividends or any profits out of things before the common stock would. But it's new to us. It's a little scary for us, but we also, philosophically, I like the idea of grassroots coming in and making something happen rather than some billionaire somewhere shows in.
We know.
Okay. They walk in, they set it all up, and away they go, and they move everybody else out of the way, and away it goes. I would rather build from the ground up. I don't know. Philosophically, it doesn't always pay the bills, but that would be my druthers, is to have the community come in and support and make this happen rather than some person from the outside.
I have a question. Did I see correctly that you're moving all the games, excluding the special game like Crew 2, will be at the Fortress this year? And
Yes.
So how long is that for to use that space?
Right now, that's for a 1-year agreement, and that will be reviewed every year, depending on our finances and the ability. It was a huge leap for us to step in and pay the fees. And I will tell you again, the Crew has been absolutely wonderful in terms of discounting things for us and helping us be able to do those things. But when our average attendance is around 250 right now, it's really tough to pay the bill at the historic Crew Stadium. If I had even 500 there, it would be financially viable. 1,000 would be great. So I'd love to be in the historic Crew Stadium because of its history and whatever, but what we found down in Obetz though, in that fortress is it's a little smaller facility, 6,500 seats, but we have 1,100 premium seats there, and we also have a garden that we can have a tailgate and beer parties and whatever before the games and after the games. So there's some amenities that are really nice, and then it makes it way more affordable for us to make that happen.
And free parking.
And it's free parking. It was tough when you're selling a $10 ticket, then you gotta pay $10 to park in the parking lot. But that was something that was outside the Crew's control, it's control of the state. Anything else?
Question online that says, what happened to the WPS Pro League?
WPSL does have a pro league. They have that whole process of, I forget what the technical word is, accreditation or sanctioning of the league. You have to get a minimum of 6 or 8 teams across the country that will sign a letter of intent to be part of that league. And they have that. They have that number of teams out there that have signed that letter of intent, and it would be a Division III women's team. They plan to launch next year. I have my doubts on whether that is going to be a viable league. I can just tell you from the financial point of view, if we had to fly the entire team, put them up in a hotel for 2 or 3 days to every game we had to play, we would have to have more like 5,000 people in the stands, and we'd have to have 100 times more sponsors than we have now. And I'm just not sure that a Division III team is going to fare that much better in terms of revenues and visibility than a team at our level. So we're keeping our eye on that goal. That we have a great relationship with the WPSL. Being 11 years in that league, the average team, what do I say? 3.4 years is what the typical team lasts in the league. Everybody comes in, they get excited, they blow their money, and then they find out, oh, this is more difficult than we expected. And 3 years they're out. We've been around 11 years, and we're going strong in that. Yes, sir.
With the partnership and our responsibility here, or your ask from us, is it just to cover the cost of a certain amount of t-shirts? Or are you looking for more of like just an initial capital investment, and that would be the
Pass this around.
the physical?
This will have the details of the proposed. And keep in mind, every time when I put this out, a sponsorship, to me, needs to be something that benefits both parties. And I've just thrown an idea out there, and I'm definitely open to other thoughts in doing that. But basically what I'm proposing is that there's a $2,500 level of sponsorship, and for that $2,500, we would print out the shirts with the Nordecke logo on the back, with the Nordecke as our backs. And we would also include signage at games. And I always throw in the stuff of putting you on our website, saying you're a sponsor. I put you on our end of our emails, we can send them out. And announcements in the stadium, announcements on our Eagle TV live stream, those kind of things I just kind of throw in to add some more value to. So it has that kind of detail in there. And I also then I also threw in there that if you wanted to come on back as a sponsor of our Eagle TV, we could throw an extra $1,500 into that and have the Nordecke all the time on our live streams up in the top right hand corner, and add a little bit to that as well. So I threw some options in there for you to think about as well. But our objective in the sponsorship would be to promote the Nordecke to the fans that we have, to the new fans that we're trying to bring into the game, and then we would keep looking for some financial support back. It is not out of the question that when we do our WeFunder raise, that you as a group could invest in that WeFunder raise too, but that is more in the May timeframe when we're going to announce that, put that out. So, and I also threw a couple samples I'm not a really good graphic artist, so please forgive the quality. I just drag and drop and move some things around, but this is generally what we were talking about doing, is putting the Eagle logo on the front, and then on the back side, it's got the Nordecke logo, and says, Nordecke has our back. Just a thought I had, but open any ideas. Yes, sir.
Do you already have a jersey sponsor?
Yes, well, I have a person that sponsors the base jerseys, but my presenting sponsor was Perez Morris for the last 3 years, and we currently do not have a presenting sponsor. We are out searching again for that person that does that. Presenting sponsor is around $15,000. Gets your name on the front, and if we put on our website, presented by, everything we say is presented by in all of our printed materials and all that. So you want to be our presenting sponsor, we can put Nordecke across the front of that shirt too. But that's up to you.
Am I reading this right? Question.
Yeah.
$2,500 base for 3 years, $2,500 each year, with a minimum 5% added on each year post that, and upon your attendance. So it's $2,500 the first year, minimum of 5% the next year, could go up to 15%
Yes.
each year, so that could grow. Then if you make the playoffs, you're gonna invoice us for an additional 20% right then.
Yes, that you are reading that correct.
Okay.
The idea is the more butts we get in the seat, the more valuable the sponsorship is. So we do look for, if we go from 250 average and we start bringing in 500, now it's worth more. We won't take it up 100%, we'll cap it at 15. And then I ran into this problem, and I'll just be straight up honest with you, in this league, there's no incentive for us to go to the postseason. They don't pay us money. They don't cover our expenses. And sometimes us owners look at it and say, we want to come in second. Because if you come in first, it's another $15,000 worth of expense to go to a regional semifinal and final, and then the finals. And each of those requires airplane trips, not just renting a van. So now we're talking about the cost of each player's airfare, their hotel, and everything else. And I almost got caught in that when we made it to the regional semifinals, and it was like, oh my goodness, I don't know where I'm going to come up with another 15 grand to make this happen, and I can't tell the ladies we can't go. So I've been adding that in there. So it only means that if that ever got kicked in, it means we're doing really well.
Sure. No, I get it.
But we do need to look back to our supporters to say, if we're going to go there, and that's another thing you can use to promote us, is saying, hey, we're supporting a regional or a national team. So yeah, you did need it correct.
So we obviously haven't talked about this as a board, but I think one of the things that we have in common is I think we're all aligned with trying to grow the sport, sports soccer in Central Ohio. So I'm just thinking aloud here, but one of the things that we love to do is get more butts in your seats. Obviously, I get the money's important, you have to run the team, it's not free. That makes sense. But I think one of the things we love to do is we have a platform of a relatively large following. And if there's a way to help to help increase visibility, I'm not saying people don't know what I think most folks do if you're really into soccer. But would you be open to an idea, I'm thinking aloud here, but like that we could sponsor, a girls' youth team to attend, rotate, not one team all the time, but each week there's a youth a girls' team from somewhere in Central Ohio that gets to attend, sponsored by Nordecke, and we can kind of celebrate, hey, these are 20 young girls that we sent to the team to watch an Eagles game. You benefit because maybe they had a good time and they asked their mom and dad, can you go back next week or things like that, my extra tickets. I think that kind of hits our core mission of trying to promote soccer in Central Ohio, and that's not the financial contribution also which is a brainstorm thing.
No, I would welcome that idea. The idea of bringing I'm understanding it as you would finance those 20 kids to be able to come.
Or something, or be part of the sponsorship, or something like that.
But butts in the seats are equal to dollars. It helps us if we were bringing in 1,000 people in each deal, we need lots less sponsorship to be able to get that done. Although finances are always good, you always got a good reason to do something with it. But yeah, an idea that says, how can we help you reach the market? You would think that after 11 years that people would know that we're here, but we go, I don't know how many times we go to the local youth tournaments and fields and whatever. When we talk about the Eagles, and say, I didn't know we had a women's soccer team. I take a lot of blame on that on myself because I restrained us to the free advertising we could get from Facebook and Twitter at the time and all those kind of things. I didn't want to spend any money because you put a couple $100 out there and that's, 20 tickets you had to sell to cover that. But we have been investing a little bit more in paid advertisements lately, and it's been paying off. But anything that would help us bring people in, because I tell you, once people come and see these ladies play, they realize that this is high-level soccer, and this is an entertaining and beautiful thing. And it's one of those, like, it's, a minor league team, you get to shake the person's hand. There's a whole lot of security. They don't drive up in limos, but anyway, I would be open to those kind of concepts as well. Absolutely.
What is your viewership on field teams?
It varies. We had one time we were excited we had 1,000 people watching. And it's funny, it is all over the world. People are watching all over the world. Now, one thing I found out about that a few years ago was that they were watching all over the world because they were betting.
There you go. That's all we need.
Somebody placed a bet and they wanted to know how we were going to do. But it varies.
Were they betting, honestly?
I have no clue. I was not part of that process.
Okay, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So based on the documents going around, you're looking for a 3-year partnership, kind of what's going around. Would you be open to a yearly partnership that's renewed on a yearly basis instead of a long-term commitment?
Yeah, we would accept that. We have accepted that. I usually propose a 3-year because it takes energy to go out and find sponsors. And it would be really nice to be able to say, I got my sponsorship lined up for 3 years. Now I can focus on another aspect of the club. But no, if it fits your financial model better, we have one sponsor that's got a lower back. They have an internal rule at this level of sponsorship. They can't go more than a year, but they've been on our jersey somewhere for 2 or 3 years now.
One thing about doing it annually, there is a benefit, is it would force us to have to come back and say, what did we do well? And what could we do better? And maybe have a little bit more dialogue rather than just being presumptuous that we're just going to do this year over year and not really know the benefits. So I actually kind of like renewing on an annual basis just to check bases with you.
Now, one thing I will say about that is that one of the designs there is we're expecting to grow our fan base. We're expecting to grow the club. And so the value of what we offer is supposedly changing every year exponentially, okay? So signing into a 3-year deal locks you into that cost, even though it may have a 5% or a 15% max. It still may be less than what we may be offering that same opportunity for in the future if we are successful in putting the butts in the seats and getting the eyeballs that we need to get.
I want to be respectful
I
of
was
your
gonna
time.
say, I'm going to think, board members, we're gonna take this to our Slack channel, kind of go over each of the points. Come up with what we like, what we don't like, keep in contact with you guys, see what we want to work out with you.
That would be awesome.
Do
And
you have a date in which you need any kind of decision?
when is your next board meeting?
Next month.
Next month about the same
First
Yeah.
Thursday?
The first Thursday.
We can start anywhere, whatever fits you and your budget, your cash flow and whatever. We're flexible in that. We just.
Not that we want to drag our feet and be like, oh, but like, if you're like, we want to know next week,
No.
yeah.
No, we never do that.
Take the time that you need.
So once again, thank you for your time and I appreciate the interest. I hope to see you all out there and see our next generation.
Thank
Okay?
you again. It was so nice to
Thank
see
you
your
guys,
faces.
absolutely.
Oh, you got one snack.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, everyone, agendas, yes, no, maybe? Okay, perfect. All right, so that was the first part. chairperson, I'm gonna save some of mine for later. It's a pretty boring week this week, so you know. Do we? Yeah.
Colin should probably have their update. What? Colin should probably have their update. I'm sorry.
Should I do one update? Which update?
Soccer for all.
Soccer for all.
Okay. That's the meeting. Okay. Well,
But the exclusive time.
to be determined at this point. Let's be so real, but so I have this. So as of Monday, around lunchtime, yep, trying to get my times in that one, we had a conversation. Ty and the leadership had a discussion, and they had confirmed that soccer for all would be happening. They have not set a specific date because they are planning on something that doesn't happen very often. And they are working and waiting on a certain entity schedule. Because based on this entity, and I use entity very loosely, schedule, they have a certain game in June. They don't want to take away from what they're planning for this entity and then have to redo soccer for all, is what I was told. So once they know a specific date for this person on what they're planning, or entity, not person necessarily.
Waiting to Taylor Swift halftime show?
That's all.
We all know it's about Nature Made. We're very excited about Nature Made.
They will get the
We
date
don't know when
set,
John's schedule is.
yeah. Then they will have the landed specific soccer for all and let us know and start working on what that looks
Are
like.
they committed to June at least?
They are committed to June. We know that much.
Question online was, is Watson going to be the match igniter?
Can I throw a drumstick?
Only if it has nails into it.
Don't tempt me.
So by the way, what you just said, Courtney, do we have any of that in like writing, or is that just verbal?
That is just verbal. So yes, that is the update that it is happening.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they're all currently spoken for. June 14th is Vancouver and Soccer for All. June 25th is Atlanta by Nature Made, and June 29th is Philly presented by Ohio Health. So either Chase has to move Soccer for All to one of those other ones, or they.
Because
matter what, they got-
originally it was Chase that
They,
was.
yeah, it is Chase. Chase is presenting Soccer for All. So they've got some jumbling to do based on the schedule of this unknown entity.
An event that happens with it.
And all 17 home matches currently have
Sponsors.
a partner and a team. Sorry, 16 home matches.
But if that's in the press release, notably on the website, we only announce like
There it is.
3 or 4 of those.
Yeah, I'm reading from the press release. If you go look at either the promotional schedule on the website or the regular schedule on the website, only the corporations, not the teams, are represented.
And so once like Ellie's Reel is on there. Other clubs in MLS do a very extensive and specific call out for Pride Night and their other big events, and including that. At present.
Just to confirm, well, you're saying other clubs do both a Pride Night and a soccer for all?
No.
They want-
They'll call.
They make
Well, it's not
promotional
their fault.
material.
It is FC Cincinnati, it's Pride Night.
Yeah,
Seattle Sounders, it's Pride Night.
Orlando is Pride Night, but then you have the other end of the spectrum where that we're currently on, where they just give it lip service, or who was it last year that didn't do anything at all? Yeah, right.
Well, Austin was late in the year.
Yeah, and there was some other team, I can't remember, that didn't do anything at all.
In fairness to Austin, the city's pride was also.
Yeah, there's.
Yeah, but there was a reason for it.
Because
Not Houston, right?
Yeah, it was Houston.
It was
Yes.
Houston?
We
Houston
also did
in-
2 last year.
Can I ask why there's stated reasons for calling it soccer for all versus
Because soccer for,
do you really need to ask?
because they say soccer for all is a league-wide, yeah.
Oh,
It's an MLS
Initiative.
moved initiative to move it to that, to not alienate what certain people and fans and alienate certain people believing in, you know, it's to not be as political as to call it pride, basically.
Are you familiar with Michael Jordan?
That,
It's because
also,
Republicans fight for years.
that justification has morphed in recent years on the club side, where they have said more frequently, well, it's Pride Month and there's Juneteenth. And if we have a theme near it should cover both of those things, not one thing. That's what soccer for all is for, which is not the reason it's for all. But they have kind of morphed the justification.
But didn't it, I'm sorry, didn't it continue to make the rainbow colored like numbers on the jerseys for those games up until what, 2 years ago?
Well, warm up.
Warm-ups, right.
They want the money, not the visibility.
Also, there are very strict enforcement with the MLS.
Yes.
So, only certain teams can have alternate kits other than 2.
Haven't we had other issues where like they changed just the font numbers where they didn't like some kids program or something for like youth night last year? I just remember that.
I think
It's
that's
on our
honestly-
speed
Yeah.
warm-ups.
But was it the actual
Warm-ups
jerseys?
No.
Always do kids get cancer. They
Yeah.
always do
Yeah.
special kit, warm-up kit for
For
kids.
kids.
But not the jerseys
It's
themselves?
it's
No.
just a warm-up.
It's just warm-ups.
Then I apologize.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just a warm-up.
Warm-up.
They did a special kit for Latin this year.
Hispanic
Yeah,
or
Hispanic.
Latin celebration night.
So
And that was
it was
actual-
just a warm up.
It's always just the warm-up, it's never a third kit or official.
Then I misspoke, I apologize.
Clarification for it. So yeah, that is the soccer for all update. So,
Hey, Court,
yeah,
sorry, did he give you a timeline?
there may no all know.
So
So no. They're meeting on an entity schedule and it's impossible to get this entity and
Can I ask a question that you might not be able to answer?
always.
Do you or anyone else on the board have any knowledge as to this person, or is it just a mystery?
I don't know the specific entity. I know it is an inner circle that knows it.
The reason why I'm asking is this just trust us, bro? We have someone totally big on the line. We have a girlfriend in Canada. We'll have Pride Night as soon as she can come.
Bro, she's looking hot.
Stop talking about Jamie's girlfriend.
So, like I just want to make sure we're not on the hook for some mystery.
So I talked to Ty Tuesday and he continued to say entity, but it was one of those, like, bro.
No, I
We've
like
got something big planned, so.
That happens less
Oh,
frequently than solar eclipses, we'll put it that way, so,
So is that a quote from Ty?
no,
Oh.
but that is a good line. Okay,
Sounds like something.
so there's that, but stay tuned because if they pull off what I know but don't know, I'm not mad at that delay.
Can I ask, is this theme entity somehow related to like Soccer for All or Pride Night? It's not just like a random celebrity or something like that, is?
It's related to soccer,
Okay.
and if you believe that soccer is for all,
Do you want to play a word association game?
I already did, you
Sure.
didn't pick it up.
You did. You did.
I already did, so if y'all missed it, that's on you.
What is the word association?
Yes, go ahead, Chris.
What year is it?
What year is this year?
2025.
Why is that significant to this thing that we have?
30th
There
year.
we go. And so if they're willing to redo the entire month of June's promotional schedule in the year of our Lord 2025.
Oh my
One
God.
month
We're coming to
inside.
center field to resign.
Oh, I
There you go.
Messi wore number 30 for PSG. We're gonna play them again in Cincinnati this time.
Okay, Can I ask a follow-up?
If you guess it, I'm not telling you.
No,
Okay.
I'm not saying that, I just have a question. which
Okay.
is, Why,
And here's
why
the
is
thing.
it necessary to tie in Pride Night?
It's not necessarily Pride Night. It's not necessarily June. They're
They're-
just
they're-
not committing it to June so that if this
They can move
entity's
stuff around.
date, they
Okay.
have to move it.
Okay.
It could happen in September and they have to move other sponsorships and things. We don't know yet. And they don't know.
Got it.
Okay.
Can I ask, just a quick question from your conversation? Are
Yes.
they also saying this with regards to all the other theme nights that could potentially be in
Yes.
June, that they're all up in the air?
Yes.
It's not just. they're
It is
holding
not just
soccer for
holding
all.
this as it, like I said, it can be any night. If this entity has something in July where fireworks go off, maybe they add more fireworks for this event, but
I just wanna make sure they're
Yes,
not
it's not just
specifically
on this,
holding
yes.
soccer for all hostage with this negotiation.
No.
All other
Yeah.
theme nights.
not just this,
also-
no. Yep.
So I have just a kind of related question. Are we planning then on having our Pride Tifo tied to this event? Or, I mean, because I think you also have a home game the night of the Pride weekend too, so.
We do. Well, that is a lovely question for our
I
creative
would need
director.
some more information about putting in soccer for all nights.
Because right now, hell is real.
So there was a question asked a few minutes ago, was like, what didn't we do 2 nights previously? And that was, in part because of TIFO disorders.
I thought it was that there was only one soccer for all, but because they moved it, we decided to still
Yes.
go with a Pride themed Tifo because it was Pride.
Yep.
Month.
Yes.
Yes.
So we had our Pride night.
Yes.
So that's a small display for in June. And then the larger display, which is a 3-panel display, went from the.
September.
That was September.
When we
Yep.
had Sean's Watts people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That game.
He was under the rainbow.
Yeah, it was, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So the front office did not have 2 Pride nights, it was us.
It was us.
Yes. We,
Which we're happy to do again if it comes down to it. Let's just be so thorough. We can do what we want.
So we're at the mercy of some other unknown entity's booking agency.
But we necessarily
Well,
are,
no,
but the
yes.
official FO at this point is
The answer to this question is at the mercy of.
yes.
if it becomes difficult to do, there's nothing to stop us from
From doing our own.
declaring when our Pride night is.
Exactly.
Does Ty know how shitty it makes the FO was that they're being all dowdy about it?
You're asking me a question.
I know that like the FO as a whole doesn't care,
Now,
but
or do you want to hold your tongue?
This may come up again.
Okay.
because I know they've had people reach out to like season ticket reps about it, and the answer is it will happen, just trust us, and it makes them look really shitty.
Yeah. But that is my update, at least for Soccer for All. Do we move to another boring topic that's not on anyone's mind at all? Is that the consensus everyone kind of wants to tackle?
I think
Or
it's
would
take
you
up the
like
most
to
amount of
do-
time.
Is there anything else because we may not get to anything else, is there anything else we need to get to that needs to be covered? Somewhere we go to that topic.
I have one I just got today because I've been getting a lot of emails about it. And for those online and here, the membership kits are in Columbus. So I'm just waiting on a time to make sure everything's sorted out, everything has arrived, and then they will be picked up and we will have a grand packing party. But the t-shirt, people that have ordered t-shirts, those orders have been sent to Supporter Supply. So they've started printing the shirts. Of the 300 shirts that have been ordered so far, they're printing them as we speak. I sent the list over, and then they're going to take out the membership kit portion that belonged with the shirts, and they're going to ship them all together for us for those 300 people. And then we will pack the rest of the kits that are out there. So it is on the horizon. Kits are coming.
I
And I copy and paste the same response, like, here's an update for you.
I appreciate that update. Thank you, Brad. So packing parties to be determined.
Mhm.
Stay tuned. Emily, do you want to knock on yours real quick? Because I think that's important.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Anyone's cleaning out their garage or their kids got some new boots this season, we would love to have you bring your old stuff, gently used or new, to tailgate. We're collecting for leveling the playing field. They redistribute equipment to others that don't have the same access. So it's a great organization. I think we have their organization linked on our website. And also everyone can look at the Sign Up Genius. We have all kinds of stuff coming up. This next one that we have is the Mid-Ohio Food Bank on the 12th. And so if everyone is interested in signing up for that one, please do so by tomorrow so that I can get that all the information sent their way and make sure and look at everything else. Pride is another one that we need to have numbers for that so that we can make sure and register and have everything organized. So lots of stuff on that one.
Really quick question.
Yes.
The level of playing field, is that exclusively soccer?
No, they're sports. Great question. Yes, any sports. So any equipment that you have, they welcome it all. They will sort it at that facility and they work with organizations to get the equipment out to people that need it. Yeah, thank you. That's all.
Quick question on that. Is that something you can have set up so every?
Well, you can't ask a question.
I can't stop. You have to wait.
Yes, I will collect it.
So you're collecting everything.
Oh.
It's just gonna be for every tailgate to have some.
No, just this next, this weekend's tailgate.
So people brought stuff on the tailgates.
I would still
Okay.
help out with that, yeah.
I'm just it's happening so fast.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So bring it to Raingate.
Anytime you want to bring stuff, I'll get it to where it needs to go.
On to the boring topic now.
I do have a question on a different topic. Kathy's advanced and veto got announced today.
Well, sir, that was like an hour before our meeting. We will discuss that, but yes, Kathy is.
Mainly, should those of us interested wait on buying tickets is the main question.
You do not need to buy them tonight.
Okay.
But we will have discussions about that again, because that is on, what did they say? 16th?
Maybe is a good enough answer.
Of Easter,
Tuesday
of
the
Good Friday.
15th. Of Easter.
Tuesday the 15th.
I'd say 2 weeks from, like 13 days from now, 12 days from now.
It's
Pittsburgh River Hounds.
Which it is kind of a rematch from a couple years ago, but let me say this, and I know it's a 6 o'clock kickoff, so a family picnic is going to be a little harder to do for a lot of people, but they were very hospitable for us when we traveled there. They had an amazing atmosphere. They welcomed us with open arms. I would like to attempt, I know it's a work day, but I very much would like to attempt to do something like that. And I might reach out to them and see if they are bringing supporters, because that is a decent quick trip for them, and try to do something like that, like they did for us. Yes.
In aspects to that, we keep being told about the North Lot being parking for our supporters for I think it's like $5 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing is getting pushed by the club. Some people arrive before security is there and can sneak back there.
That's old fairgrounds rules.
That's like, yeah, that's a
Keep
storm.
murderers row hours and you don't
That's
have to
even
pay
there,
for
6
parking.
But I feel like if there's something we're trying to do that needs to be fixed, that we have those parking instead of me literally saying I need to tie to the security dude and the guy just being like, okay, whatever.
So you want us
so
to
you
give
want
them
to
more
pay.
money?
No, just fix it.
What needs fixed?
I think he's saying that
So at some point they stopped allowing people to go back there.
Before they can, they stop people from going back there.
Oh, so we have to
Daddy
bring
paid
that
the
up with
garage.
the club.
Yeah. Huh?
So we have to bring that up with them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Club, okay.
Were people who prepaid for parking denied entry to the law?
That's the thing, they were supposed to be like a normal tailgates, the QR codes, and if you didn't have one for back in North Lot, you weren't getting it.
Okay.
You have to pre-buy it. for those games.
Okay, well.
Yes, you have to pre-buy those, because
Through the
there's a
club?
separate through the club.
Okay.
Yes.
There was a miscommunication.
Yeah,
We were
there's no-
told
So that was a
both
miscommunication.
first
No,
come,
they're
first
not
served.
pushing that. I know that Cappy Brava has put that on Slack when they put their tickets here and that before we announced our thing,
Okay.
and parking for here. We can work on getting that push too as well.
There was
But there
some-
is a separate parking for that. So maybe, and that's clearly just a miscommunication with them.
There was some communication that that parking was only open to first team season ticket holders. I didn't hear of anybody trying and failing to buy it, but apparently some of the ticket reps sent that message out to people that asked about it.
So we'll take that discussion with the front office and get real answer on parking. Okay. But yes, Cappy and Open Cup round 3 to be determined with that. But yes, I did see that while walking in. So
Yeah, they stalled on having an answer till the last minute because they were supposed to have it by the end of the day. I came out at 5:01.
501. Right.
Shall we jump?
See, happy talk.
Shall-
Happy talk.
Shall we jump to Cleveland now?
Yeah, I'd
be
like
honest,
to real quick update on travel.
Okay.
1 minute.
Okay. Can I time you?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. This is the little fun I have tonight. Okay, guys, let me.
Give me a 3, 2, 1.
Wait, hold on, does a crazy clock lady have a clock?
I you. Okay. Go.
Okay, so all the games went well. The DC, no issues there. St. Louis in 2 weeks, we were sending 58 people, I believe, to that game, and we were doing a joint thing with the St. Louis, which should be a great time. And we were about to post the 3 May games that will not be a full New Orleans tour. Philly, Montreal, and Miami will go up next week. I'm waiting on some information from Charlotte. It will go up shortly thereafter, as soon as I get the full information I need. And that is less than 30 seconds. Screw you, Gordon.
I'll be back in my full rating.
Speaking of travel, can we talk about the other New Orleans tours?
So, okay,
Oh,
but there's
no.
Brett, is the non-line or you stretching?
No, I was just gonna say, talking to Curtis beforehand, the Montreal game will probably not be a group buy, just based across going across borders and all that stuff. We will post a link and people will have to buy their own tickets through the link. But
There's also a
they'll-
midweek game in
yeah.
May. We weren't going to get many people anyways, so just be careful. You
There's also,
come back.
yeah.
Yeah, but the link will be on. Yeah, the link will be on the Nor on Tour page. As soon as I can get it updated tomorrow, the link will be up there.
I know I talked to Brent about it, but instead of waiting till the next meeting, could you go over Tifo Sweat so you actually have volunteers leading up to Ellisville?
Sure. Yeah, to knock this thing out, done and edited. Personal life update. I will not be in the country for 3 weeks in May. So, just found out recently that I was able to get on a project team. So, I'm on track. So, the plan is to have that project done and netted by the end of April, so that once it's time for that thing to go up, all that has to be done is transported into the stadium.
Brett, what dates will you be gone?
I will be gone May 1st through May 25th. I get back on the 25th.
So we got that.
And the goal is how is real to be done at the end of April.
Eligibility will be done by April. Todd did mention that because it is going to be a open display, they will want to do a
Test.
run through, a test lift, then probably the day before. It's a game.
Are we planning that into how we're designing the grommets and all that for this? Because. All right, I won't ask. Okay.
What? Okay, my brain. Someone with a better brain than my functioning calendar right now. What is Hello's Real Home again?
May 17th.
Thank you. Don't ask me why I was in June again. Okay. So you will not be here.
You won't fly back.
Unfortunately, no.
I need 3 hours in Ohio.
If I happen to hit the lotto between now and then, I will look to buy plane tickets to come back to that.
You must convert all
Do
of your
we
team into
have-
crew tanks.
And this will be ongoing talks. Do we have a team or a few volunteers that want to help take lead on that lift?
Working on that.
Okay. Let us know when we get that, obviously. Okay. There's no stress at all in my life. Okay, moving on. But we got you, we'll support you, and we'll just do.
Hey, we're not doing. We haven't got there yet. The bullet point's not done.
All right. Let me check mark the things we've done.
Right? How soon are you looking to go into production again, or is that so?
Be looking to start on that.
Let me
Tracy.
real quick,
24, 7. So, stuff.
I'm gonna jump real quick and just hit something. We do have a Nordecke Town Hall next Wednesday, April 9th at 7 Sun. It is more casual than a board meeting. Come out, have a beer with us, have 2 beers with us. If you're feeling so inclined to buy a beer for one of us. But that starts at 6, goes through 8. Most, if not all of us will be there. Come have discussions with us. One-on-one is less formal than this. If you're not as comfortable coming to meetings and being present like that. But yeah, just wanted to give that a shout out as well. Okay. Let's talk about Cleveland. Who wants to open that discussion with questions, comments, concerns? All of the above, none of the above, burn it all down, what have you.
There's buses.
What are there?
There
Are there any available spots left?
tentatively there are 1.375 buses full.
Until they take those off, I thought about, since they're paying for it, opening it to the public, but they've absolutely infuriated me.
We did bring that up on a call with them about, just because there's so little interest from Nordecke about opening it up to just all Columbus-based crew supporters. And we basically took the stance of saying Nordecke is indifferent. If the crew want that, we support it. If the crew don't want it, we didn't take a formal stance here.
I would also mention that, because I'm sure they didn't have an idea and they're gonna explore it. Also, at that point, we take no liability.
Sure.
They cannot come to us the morning of,
No.
they cannot come to us the day before, they cannot come to us a week before and say, here, you're gonna sign the liability insurance.
We would
Because
take,
that is
yeah.
not our membership.
Well, and they also.
I mean, if they provide the document, we just say we're having legal counsel review it and go from there.
I'll just say it.
Yeah, let Ty tell the people that they can't get on the bus at 9 a.m.
Yeah, they came to us after they've already in Cincinnati.
We're in Cincinnati, Cincinnati, and about 4 drinks in, and they said, "Can you sign this?"
Did someone rip it up?
We just said no.
We'll send it for you.
Yep.
And then proceed it to.
Drink more. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Ty keeps like reiterating that someone told them that we would for sure be able to get 600 people on these buses.
Okay, this is a memory thing for me. And correct me if I'm mistaken. That basically it's like, how many do you think would show up next year? And it's like,
I remember seeing 5 buses.
Yeah.
Maybe 6 buses.
Yeah.
But I didn't say, we never said 600.
Just repeatedly, it's like, we were told 600 people in our initial call, but I don't know if we were.
When things first started, they said, "How many members do you have?" I said, "We have about 600 right now." That is where the 600 is coming from. I said, "We have about 600 right now," and I said, "This was the early planning stages when the season first started, and they're like, how many should we plan for the buses?" I said, "Probably by that time in the season, we'll have 600 to 700 members. Plan on that if you want to." And that's why they have 20 buses on hold.
so if it helps organize us, I guess.
you mean to call yesterday? Is that what you were-
I think we can go over that again.
Brandon, you're me.
I'm gonna let
Oh,
both
no,
of
go
you
ahead, buddy.
do a dramatic interpretation.
A dramatic reading.
Okay, so, and I will stand up in front of you prefer. The purpose of the call was to go over logistics from how we got up and back to Cleveland with all the stuff, because they were on site last Friday. So there were questions that Brandon and I had delivered to them last week around drums and other game day related matters where we were saying, where is stuff going to be stored? Where are we physically going to be? How are you going to move our equipment up and back without it being destroyed? These types of questions. What's the experience going to be like in the stadium? Are you miking up drums? Or like, all the things that we don't know, that we don't want to discover we haven't thought about them 3 weeks from now. So the purpose of the call is supposed to be, we have answers. So it was Brandon, Curtis, myself on the call, and it started with a question about buses and travel, where it was like, hey, we have 10 buses, we can go up to 17, that's about 600 members base, how many do you have signed up?
That was by my too. I looked at that all day. You can tell me on that. Yeah, we have 30 people signed up, 20 maybes. They took it. Honestly, I thought I was expecting more of an reaction. They didn't react at all to it.
Well, so we told them, hey, the number's gonna be lower. We can't tell you exactly how lower, we can give you where they were. They said, well, we have to refigure how we think about the tailgate up there if we're not gonna have as many buses, because the original plan was for buses to basically shape the tailgate space.
She did show an image of the Muni lot on where they would have a roped off area for a tailgate setup that we normally do. But there was no answer to who is hauling what up there. Whether there be parking passes for
people who are on site.
Yeah, on site, other than the buses. Yeah, they didn't even go over who has parking passes to the lot. So.
So we have beer, Ryan. I know that. We definitely have beer. We have two sponsors.
From Brandon and my conversation last week about drums, we're wondering, okay, so you're delivering us to the meeting lot, and then we need to have a staff of people to set up the stuff to take up. How are those people getting into the stadium and then back? The people who are at our tailgate, when do they go in? How do they get there? And then how does that impact the Nordecke's ascension? And so those are questions we were trying them for last week. They came up again this time, either because they had answers or they didn't cover answers, and Brandon wanted to make sure that we covered those things. So they had said basically, if we're gonna have fewer buses, we need to think about how to shape the tailgate with fewer numbers.
And if they need the buses, they can drive extra buses.
What's funny, like they said, the diagram that she shows did not have the buses. It was 2 rows of 5 buses. Now, you're correct that verbally they previously told us in the past it'd be like a big kind of letter C and have the tailgate kind of in the middle of it. But the diagram she showed us yesterday was just 2 rows of 5 buses, like on the perimeter of the Muni lot. And then they had, I think it was 20 spots.
It was a wrap or space off area. If you've ever been to the Muni lot, where the exit to go to the stadium, it's the first 20 spots right up front, as if you're going to leave the Muni lot itself. And that's where they plan on putting our tailgate.
Curtis, you're there. Can you draw?
Yeah, draw.
Saying that you would walk through the tailgate to get to the stadium.
Yes. Yeah. So basically, if I recall correctly, it was like, here's the Muni lot. I think the stadium's here. Is that correct, Brendan?
You can just choose any.
And then here was kind of our 20 spots. And then they would have the buses, I believe, were like in 2 rows. They had like the buses lined up, 5 buses here and here with us.
I'll
That
take
was-
a picture and post it online
Yeah,
for
and-
everyone. This amazing art.
And then this is the entrance as if we were going towards the stadium.
Okay. And we don't know what's happening with the rest of that lot.
I think the rest of this was just park, some other tailgating parking. Right? We didn't say that. That was never supposed to be said. So.
Well, they haven't said who
I
has
ever
access
answered
to
your
it.
message asking about the SPM.
I don't think so.
Because this kind of segues into, I would say, the next area we have to cover, which is so he mentioned the get to the stadium and back.
And also
for-
make sure we're protecting guys online that have
Okay.
little issues.
Oh, sorry. For the actual setup crew, they will have someone with a golf cart to take the setup crew to the stadium to set up drums.
Is that a 12-person golf cart?
Multiple. I mean, but
Holding the drum off the back.
they plan on putting the drums in one of the spare team locker rooms.
For storage.
For storage, I've actually been in one of them. They're very nice. They're air or climate controlled and locked. So their plan is to actually take everything up on the 11th. It was supposed to be.
Not the 11th.
It was the day before.
No, it's the 16th.
I have the number jotted down. Give me a second.
We'll be here for the captain's.
Oh no, we need to provide drum numbers by the 11th.
Yes, load-in is April 16th.
No, it's Thursday.
Well, let's, I'll put it this way.
Wednesday.
We
Okay.
were told that load-in was the 16th. And that was yesterday, and today there was open control, so I don't know if anything has changed there. But that is what we were told. And we knew ahead of time it was going to be ridiculously early in the week. They had told us all last time.
And I have the opportunity remote work that I can go monitor what they take and make sure that they're loaded properly and safely to, but not from, because I'm not staying and going back to the stadium on Sunday after the game on Easter. But the next portion is they want a march to the stadium.
Yep.
And we do not have mobile drums. So for me to set that up, I would have to reach out to a local high school, either here in the Columbus area or up in Cleveland, to ask for a bass drum, a set of quads, and a snare, if we have drummers. Because Norman and I need to get numbers for drummers and names of capos.
And much like everything else in across crew fans' responses.
Yeah. So capos and drummers will get wristbands. So people don't question on where they need to be and where they go. But any drum that we would bring for the march would then be put in the storage area that they plan on using for till after the game, and then we would take them back out that night and load it up. We would help with tear down and move the drums back down to the locker room. ADA inside of the dog pound, Ty is supposed to send Norman and I a photo of what that actually is going to look like. They're taking a small portion of ADA and making it a drum platform. Don't know where that is yet, so we'll see how that goes. And then
So, and as game day pertains to travel, one of the things we had said was for leaving the game, that we needed to have potentially 2 separate departure times.
Yeah.
The thought being that right after the game, crew fans are going to leave the stadium and go to the movie lot. But there's
On-field experience for 1 hour after the
okay,
match.
all right. Regardless of on-field experience, I do not give a rat's ass. is that we're gonna have game day staff that are gonna have to tear down. And if we get back to the mini lot after, that's a problem. So we talked that through, that's not an issue, although it was said that basically the Nordecke is responsible to make sure our people get on the buses.
And I would also say pragmatically with, if we had 6, 8 buses of folks going, sure, let people decide which bus, you want to be the early group or the late group. We're gonna have 2 buses. I don't think it's worth it to do 2 departures. It's just too much of a logistical challenge. Too small.
That was also our gateway into talking about the rest of the game day experience, which is when we were informed, and this was not something we were aware was coming, that due to enhanced security measures,
Fan safety.
the decision had been made by the club and by the Brown Stadium staff to not allow any fan banners at the game.
Hey Norm, you asked, I apologize. Glenn.
Yeah, no.
You asked how for them to please explain how banners make fans less safe. They gave a very eloquent answer. Would you mind repeating that?
Said that in the past, people had smuggled banners into the stadium with hateful messages. And then I countered with.
It is Cleveland. I've been to Browns.
I countered with, you have 2 separate processes. You have banners that you approve that can go up with everything else. And then you have gate security. Those are 2 separate things. They're not related. Yes, Lauren.
Who was it on the call with you?
Molly and Ty.
That's all.
That's all.
There was no rep from HSG or Brown Stadium.
Nope.
No, what this is.
So, go ahead.
But there's no safety issue with having people in the Nordecke.
Well,
Okay.
we will get there. We will get there.
So-
I'm 1 step ahead, sorry.
It is worth mentioning.
Trying to make sense.
It was made very clear to us, this is not an MLS decision. This is a Cleveland.
Okay.
Cleveland crew
Let
decision.
me walk through this because it's a bit of a wet. So this is a crew and Brown Stadium staff decision, except that it was noted for us multiple times that since the start of the MLS regular season, MLS has changed the security protocols around Miami to this enhanced security. To which
Is confirmable.
right. To which I said, so MLS made the decision.
For all the banners that we hang and have displayed in the past that they either don't like or get negative responses on their post-game surveys. That's all this is.
So you segued me right into it, Chris, is fan safety or enhanced security. I then asked, well, we did not have this issue last year when Miami came to town twice. We hung banners. I then said, if this game actually was being played in LBC, are you telling me that we would not be able to hang our normal banners? And she said, yes. We would have no banners for that game.
It's retribution.
And I lost my ever-living mind on her.
Thanks, bro. I can confirm that.
This meeting was also had the same day that Messi's bodyguard has been banned from MLS sidelines.
And then threatened to boycott.
So what Curtis called out in the meeting was, this will be perceived by our fan base, whether you intend it or not, as an attempt to silence the voices of Nordecke and the banners that we normally hang up in Cleveland. And the response from Ty was, we knew that would happen, essentially.
It's a calculated risk for them. It's 100%.
There was an extensive back and forth asking about the security measures, at which point we were informed that the security measures are so vast and so expanded that Molly herself cannot be on the field.
Or Ty.
Or Ty. And I don't know how that's related to us being able to hang banners, but apparently it is.
That's exhibit C, Your Honor.
They're also so vast that Jared has to hire 200 security members to line the field. They're having 200 contract security members around the field.
Which is hilarious if he doesn't play, but that's fine.
Yeah.
He's not
So,
playing.
Hey, Norm, Norm, can I chime in real quick?
Hey, guys, Trent's trying to say something online. Go ahead, Trent.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but I'm about to get in my car, so it's going to be harder for me to speak once I'm mobile. But, you know, just as part of match day, I do want to say, because of the front office response and because of them trying to silence us, I mean, we even were talking to Ty, and he was like, wow, there doesn't seem to be a lot of interest in buses. And like, that's not the only thing there's not a lot of interest in. Like, it's not just the buses, Ty. And so, because of that, as part of match day, I do not feel comfortable asking our volunteers to volunteer for this match. Yeah, I don't feel morally right about it.
So that gets us to the last point, which I'll mention just so we have all the information on the table, which is Brandon had asked. We know that there are going to be Miami fans in the section. And we know that you are not going to remove them.
There was fancy. Did you?
Yeah, no, I didn't. Go ahead. Say it. No. I was gonna say it's in the meeting. You can say what was changed between the meeting. And
Yes. So, 3 of us that were part of the meeting received an email from
I
Molly
received it
today.
too.
Oh, and Courtney. So it was initially stated that Miami fans would be offered a yellow shirt and remain in the section. Now, what they're saying is, if they take off the yellow shirt, security will then escort them to a new section.
So
Well, that's better than giving them a free. Wasn't it, if they refuse the shirt,
Yeah.
they'll be relocated. If they take the shirt and take it off,
They'll be
then they'll get a warning, and if it happens a second time, then they'll deal with
So,
it.
okay,
They'll-
so none of this changes the material concern that Brandon has, which is.
But they have the room to be located.
Yeah, that's the
Why would
thing.
they do
They
that
told
too?
us they
Exactly.
have no place to relocate them from the beginning.
Yeah, because their ticket sales aren't
They have
what they thought.
no section or no place to relocate Miami fans that were silly and foolish enough to buy the Nordecke section.
So,
Should we tell them we have 100 seats in there?
right, so we're in a situation where there will be Miami fans in the section. They will not be immediately removed. And then our volunteers, well, not members Nordecke will be at a tailgate. And typically, tailgates and marches and all that stuff don't lead to you getting into the stadium first. So Miami fans can get into the stadium, get into the Nordecke, and go straight to the front, and then our fans come in, and then you have safety concerns, which I was assured enhanced security was there to protect the fans. We care about fan safety.
Well, there's no banner, so that'll take care of
Yeah, as long as there's not a banner, then, yeah.
Just
So I have the right to remove any sign of little kids holding that says, I support Messi.
Tell them it's
F
unsafe.
themselves.
So we asked this question of them again, saying, what are you going to do to make our fans be in the same place so that it is as close as to the Nordecke as we can be? And the response we got, this one was from Kai, I can't remember what's going on, was that is on Nordecke season ticket members who sold their tickets to Miami. That no one had access to that section except for Nordecke season ticket members. And therefore, the unsaid thing was, it's on you all, not on us, that Miami fans are going to be in that section. Which I feel ignores the reality of the situation. whenever you move a game this far outside the market, you're going to see an effect on people going to the game, and you have to deal with that reality on the ground at home.
So it's our fault that Miami fans ended up in the section, but they were pre-planning to buy yellow t-shirts knowing there would be Miami fans in the section.
That's a great question.
I recall, I can totally check also, I actually did miss this part.
Yeah.
Their entire 20 minutes of this call was talking about safety.
Yeah.
And they address regardless of who's to blame for Miami fans having those tickets, that is a safety concern. You're not liquored up people.
Nope, didn't know that.
Okay. Okay. So that piece of safety is acceptable risk, but the banners are not.
Well, you could take the banners and smuggle a messy fan.
Yeah.
And then,
So the only thing I left out was that I voiced that without banners, I did not feel this was the Nordecke, which he said, well, we're bringing flags and smoke and we are acquiescing space to you for drums.
And
Oh,
capo stands.
and we went and bought new material for capo stands that we plan on bringing back to Columbus.
So
good question.
So
Scaffolding.
But
yeah,
wouldn't it be easier just to block off the ends of the Nordecke section and the dog ground for those who happen to show up in Messi's, so they're not going in, mixing in together with.
But
it's just,
agreed.
It's not rocket science. The front office is a joke.
But it's GA.
Yeah, it's GA, and that is.
Says it's GA.
Yep, and they gain the atmosphere.
We have done exactly that in the past at LDC. Yeah. Last year, I think it was last year, there were so many Messi fans, they ran out of space to relocate.
Yeah.
And so they discussed that they had planned on this, a section of the Nordecke that was there to relocate away fans, I believe, if I'm misremembering. Yep, I'm misremembering, but I'm pretty sure that was a
We
plan
can
that
follow
they had.
up with Ty and Molly on
They ran
those
out.
thought processes, but the answer was it's GA.
And
But no safety issues for.
Or even for them, let's be
Well,
honest,
it's-
like, it's not only about us being highly frustrated and this and that. I witnessed it several times where I had to calm people down.
It's a drunk
Or-
person wearing yellow that's gonna punch somebody wearing
Well,
pink.
it's not, you have messy fans that are drunk and happy and chirping as well. They put themselves in that, but then you're in the beehive, literally, and it's them puffing their chest up, and it's us reacting to it. And it's safety for those fans to come and experience it, whether you like it or not, they're a messy fan of this. It is safety for all parties involved. It is safety for soccer people that are coming, whether they're wearing a messy jersey or not, whether they are part of the crew or not. And it is a safety concern for all parties. Because when people react to that, that is going to be a bad name on the Nordecke.
That's
And
why they
our
hold us in
members
Cincy.
and that.
That's exactly why they hold us in Cincinnati.
And
Don't
there
let
is
us go.
a lot of games, not just
Yeah,
Cincy,
no, they
there
did
are
it
a
in
lot
Nashville
of
last year.
games
They did not
where
let us
they
leave.
hold us
Yep.
and taking that.
But Cincinnati's even worse, because I can tell you, we walked out of that stadium, I don't know how many times, and almost got in brawls with their fans. Like, let's be clear. Yeah, they almost threw us down the steps, let's be clear. So I get it. Courtney, you're right, it's on both sides. It's their safety and our safety.
So the issue is it's been called out to them.
And they don't care.
This is effectively an away game. And you should be treating it like you treat an away game, where you escort the away fans in and out of the game. You give them particular entrances they should enter. There are protocols for trying to limit conflict. The league has this all the way around, but then you'd have to admit this isn't a home game.
Yeah, it's a cash grab, and it's everybody around.
Yeah, I mentioned
North,
that any Nordic member has a
Which he's not gonna be.
early and got shot down.
So in the interest of moving the conversation forward, it feels to me like there's some obvious frustration, understandable about this, but I think it's fair to say, Brandon, that the team is not moving on this. We could go back to them with the idea about putting the Miami fans off to the side, but it is what it is. They've made their position clear. Would you agree?
So, okay, yes, so Molly has already said that the banner thing would not be rethought of, but every mountain can be moved with enough force.
That's a dumb question. Who's Molly?
stage.
Molly,
What is her
Molly,
role?
Molly is the marketing.
She basically is the club. She's on the ground with game day and match day, like operations essentially for the club. She helps run and coordinate with Hometown Hero, with Match Igniter. When there's halftime things going on, she's on the ground to help coordinate.
Is she the one that wears the headset?
Yeah. Well, there's many people that wear the headset.
Well, but the one that's very close to all of those activities you mentioned.
She is the head of all that.
She's the head of all of that. She is Ty's boss, essentially, in that perspective.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question here? Not being a Browns fan and not super familiar with the layout of their stadium.
Listening.
An indication of where the drums would be
No.
in relation to the rest of the Nordecke at large. You said there may be an ADA. You know where in the section, that ADA section?
No, and he is supposed to get us photos of where the capo stands are going to be placed.
Well, the ADA section, what I was told by my ticket rep, because I have ADA tickets, okay, is after that first section that goes up, that's where the ADA is.
Okay, so
It's like when you're coming out that main, the tunnels there from the dog pound, I mean, from the stadium.
Yeah.
Okay, after that first section that comes up, that's where ADA is. The
So-
next section is.
So you got Ryan, you got the dog pound, which is the first like massive section is right here. The ADA is gonna be right here, about midway, and then there's the overhang, and that's the rest of the dog pound. So we'd be right in the middle.
Right in the middle. Okay. So here's
But far enough to back than we normally are.
So here's my viewpoint, is that they've made a big deal about enhanced security. And so far, everything that they've mentioned with our section not being our section, makes me worried for our volunteers that are going to be drumming and going to be capoing. If they are surrounded by drunk and hostile, potentially hostile fans, and if things escalate, those are the people that are going to be the most at risk because they're the most visible and they are going to be the loudest there. Am I wrong in thinking that this could be a security concern for our volunteers?
We don't get paid enough for that shit.
Brad, hold on. Brad has questions.
Not a question. I wanted to bring up, Trent had to get in his car, so we brought something up, which segues right off of what Ryan has said and kind of what I hear has been talked about. He said, since I'm about to get in my car, I would like to make the first motion based on overwhelming feedback from the fan base. I make a motion that we do not provide capos, drums, or march for the Cleveland match.
So, as someone involved in one of those things, I think it's tough to then say the board should direct that before getting feedback from those groups. That we should make sure that how do all the capos feel, how do all the drums feel, do people feel super passionately about there being something up in Cleveland before we
Let me ask this then too. Do we have our numbers already for Cleveland?
No,
Do we know
no,
who's
we
going
have-
up capital-wise? Do we know who's
We
going
have
up
not.
capital-wise?
We have not. Yeah.
We have done initial soundings on the drum side. I know people for sure who are not going. And the people who are not going told us very early because they were not planning on going. We're gonna be light, and they know this and we know this. It's just a question of how light.
And it's the same thing with the capos. My focus has been game to game until this massive.
Hey, this is the front office's number one thing on their calendar. This is not the number one thing on my calendar. I have a game this Saturday.
Yeah. So
And that is that is a wager.
So let me segue that then. Not that I don't wanna just shut Trent down, but let's put a pin on that since it has been, but make sure that we talk to capos and drummers. If they're comfortable with that, bring that back to Trent and then go forward with that motion if everyone is okay with that.
But I also agree, and I want an answer from Ty on the safety, and that's where the photos and actually receiving them and knowing where these people our volunteers are going to be and what security is going to look like. I also want those answers before and be able to go back to Trent.
This is us
as well.
bringing drums and capos to an away game. We don't get that. So I'm concerned.
Well, we were told if
Especially the
there's
first
any
three rows in
damage,
front of that capo stand are planted.
that if there's any damage, Ty's paying for it.
Well, okay, hold on, hold on, hold on.
Hold on, because Brad's had his hand up for a minute, so.
There's a comment online that said, if the board cannot make a decision based on the feedback already given, why are we still having these conversations? Y'all are gonna cave.
Can we ask who said that?
Brian Lanoy.
First of all, I can guarantee you that there are enough of us on this board that are not going to cave on this issue.
No.
I promise you that.
To Brian, the reason I'm pushing to go to the drums first is because in the past, the drums have been left out of these decisions. And I want to make sure that the volunteers that we rely on every week have a voice before they're told about top two and dictated to. Yes, no.
I'm gonna be the devil's advocate.
I know you would be.
What if the majority of drummers say, oh no, we want to play in that stadium, we've never had that opportunity before, we want to go do that really cool thing. Which would fly in opposition to the feeling of the rest of the majority of Nordecke membership. And at that point, do we say to those drummers, totally understand where you're coming from and this sucks, or do we have drums?
My question is, of those people who are giving the negative feedback, are they going to the game? Are you going to be in that section and have any voice?
He says, nope.
Okay.
And someone else said, respectfully, we should have had these answers before now.
Correct. I agree on that.
Answers from the FO.
I'm not sure. The comment from Jason Hoover just says, respectfully, we should have had these answers before now.
Brandon, wait, say that a bit again, because I got.
So the negative feedback and the people are saying boycott, don't go. Are you attending the game? If your answer is no, then you shouldn't have a voice for the drummers and the capos who do want to go.
That's not right. Yeah, no. Those people are going to, now, Chris, I'm not going. So I don't have no voice, right? That's not, there are plenty of people that in this membership base that do not support this game and are not gonna go, and they have a right to a voice to express why.
I'm not going
and
against their
ask-
voice.
that-
Yeah.
But they have a right to ask that we, the supporters, from the people that collectively organize the action, back them up in their stance.
So since I own my own personal drum, and if I take that up, that's
So
why I'm doing.
That was gonna be my suggestion, before I got told I didn't have a voice. My suggestion was gonna be that the Nordecke as an organization lobby on behalf of the 5 or 6 or 8 or 12 people that wanna bang their drums in the biggest stadium they'll ever get the chance to do it. So those people can carry their personal drums in, or borrow a Nordecke drum, sign a waiver of responsibility, whatever. So
I
they
agree.
get the
Sorry,
opportunity.
Chris. I did not mean it to come across as that. I
It's
apologize.
not just me, there are literally thousands of us. I hate to use that. but-
Wait, how big is our section? Yeah, you're right.
No, thousands of people that are choosing not to go to this game.
But if you boycott, so let's just put this out there. They've already got their money, guys. It's part of our season ticket. They've got their money.
Right.
And if you don't, hold on, but if you don't go, they're giving you free parking. They're not paying for that. They're giving you free hot dogs. You're saving the money. I get it. Understand that. But if you want to hit them where it hurts,
That was gonna be my
fucking
segue.
don't opt into Leagues Cup.
All right.
Opt out of those games
all right,
or
so-
something like
so
that.
before-
Or something. I'm just saying,
Before we
go
give it
ahead.
away, there's something I want to go back to. because-
Go back real quick,
Yeah, I
but
know,
that does
I know.
go into a segue that I was gonna bring up this.
So Brandon said something about, we're covered if the club, if damage becomes drums. That's not acceptable to me. And the reason it's not acceptable to me is because if there's damage to drums, if there's damage to anything game day related, that materially harms our ability to have our games at our least.
And we do have a team that we could call.
And frankly, if we go up there and volunteers have a bad experience, are those people going to want to volunteer their time?
I feel like we're also having kind of two conversations simultaneously. There's the fan, I'll call it fan preference. There's a lot of us that are very frustrated about this game. I'm not going to game either, Chris, for the exact same reason. So it's like, there's a lot of us just frustrated about the game happening. There's also the safety issue. So when we're talking about what the drummers or the capos might want, that's a fan preference issue. It's a legitimate one, I get that. But if we're making the decision on the grounds of safety, that's not a preference issue. That's hey, we're concerned that having the Nordecke name attached to this event will lead to potentially violent situations, and we don't want our name linked to that, and that's separate from preference.
Let me middleman this, because, and I'm not gonna say that I speak for Capos, I'm not gonna say that I speak for drummers, but they're Nordecke members. They're not necessarily super happy about this. I think give game day a chance to talk to those volunteers. I don't want to say they'll just like agree to not go or this and that, but I think, and a few of them could be wrong, and that's fine. But general consensus is, well, if this is a safety concern, and we're at this point where, pardon the language, if the FO wants to fuck around, we'll find out. Do that.
But at the same time, I'm sorry, I have a question. We're not here to fuck around and find out with the front office. There are players that want us there, who want to support us. And I'm sorry, boycotting the game, boycotting not having drums, boycotting not having that. I'm sorry, I have a seat. So I really don't care if you guys stand up there or not. I'm sorry. I'm old, I have a seat. But I am a Nordecke member. I'm gonna say this. As someone who does regularly go into the Nordecke, I think, quite honestly, we need to go. We need to support them. We need to be these. And who cares what the front office thinks? They don't care about the dog pound. If you go to a football game, they don't care about the supporter section. We're here for the players that are on the team. We are people who support the team. We are not here for the Haskins. I'm sorry, we're not. And if we're going to be that way, then we shouldn't go to any. That's my opinion. I'm sorry.
And that's fair.
That's fair, but if I could respond to that.
Yeah.
One thing that they are absolutely counting on is our labor doing the drums and the capos.
But we
and
do
all
it
that
every
stuff.
game, so what's the
I know,
difference?
but the difference
What
is
is
that
the
they're
difference if we're
counting.
here or if we're there?
I'm trying
We're
to
here for the
explain that.
players.
The difference is that they're counting on us to make their Cleveland game a success so that they can continue to do things in Cleveland, which directly flies in the interest of our fan base.
But they're gonna do it anyway,
They're gonna
guys.
do it
But if
anyway.
it's
It
not a
doesn't
success,
matter.
if it doesn't look as good, if it's not the atmosphere that they have sold it
How
to be,
embarrassing would it be? And I'm gonna say this, how embarrassing is it if we have two drummers in the Nordecke? Two. If we have one capper, how embarrassing is it as us as a group?
Sure.
That's what I'm saying. If you don't have the people there and you're gonna say, we're boycotting it, but you only have 10 people, that's embarrassing as a group. That's what I'm saying. It's either all or nothing, and we've already paid for the tickets. We've already paid for it. They already have our money. Take it further someplace else. Go someplace else and hit them in the wallet later. Not beer. I don't drink beer, so it doesn't help me. It doesn't. Not buying a beer, whatever. Not buying the $1 hot dog, whatever. I don't care. I don't need the games anyways. Nobody should eat hot dogs in the first place. But what I'm saying is that hit them later in the season. That's all I'm saying. Hit them later in the pocket later. They've already got your ticket. They've already got your money. Opt in for something else.
Okay, so
Opt out at your tickets.
how do you do that? Like,
Opt
you
out
just-
at the further games. And the ones that you have to opt into, don't. Don't do it.
So leagues code.
Great stuff. Don't do it. That's money that we have to spend that we haven't done. If you want to set a preference, if you want to make them have a point, and I'm sorry, I'm not one of the people that talk, I'm one of the people in the background. Don't say, don't do it now. Don't do it when they've already got your, excuse me, I almost cussed. They already have your money. I didn't do it. So, don't do it now. Do it later. Don't do it in August when you don't have it. That's $30. What is it? $30 people? I have 4 tickets. That's what, $120?
No, it costs me more for regular seats.
Well, yeah, because I'm old. Sorry, and I'm gonna have surgery, so I'm gonna have ADA, so it's gonna be even more. So it's gonna cost us more. Do it later. You know what? Go to Cleveland. Have a great time. Ride the buses. Have everybody go up there. We'll have a regular party. We'll show Cleveland what Columbus can do. But in the meantime, fuck them later. Sorry. And then do it in August. Do it in September when they continue to win. Don't go to the championship game. I saw people that didn't do it. Are we going to be sad because we're not there and watching them win? The league's coming. Yes, but guess what? The hazards. Do it later. Continue to hurt later. We don't have to opt into those tickets. If that's the point you want to make.
Just why not both? It's just kind of my.
Why? They've already got your money.
Yeah, they've got
You've
it.
already paid it. Why? You're gonna hurt yourself at that point in time. You've already paid it. You can't sell your ticket.
Yeah, I mean.
So let me say this, I'm volunteering, I told Robbie, I will drive my truck to that game for the crew members that wanna go up there, and I will fucking have ice cold beer to feed them, because they chose to go. And I volunteer that, I would drive my own car, I would pay my own gas, right? Guys, I'm not doing it to the point for the hassles, I'm doing it for us, for the ones that are going. Because I care about our fans, and I care about our people that wanna go to it, because there are people that wanna go.
Yeah.
I think it's stupid, I think it's bullshit, I hate that we're fucking doing it, I gotta be open and honest. I called my ticket rep and said, can I fucking get out of my season ticket, you dumbass? This is the dumbest thing, and I already paid for it, I couldn't. So, again, but I told Robbie, if I can take in my truck, into the muni lot full of beer, I will make sure I have ice cold fucking beer for every crew fan that shows up. Not because of Dee and Jimmy, but because I love everybody that's in that Nordecke, and I want them that go to have a great time. For those that show up. That's what I'm doing. Because I want Emily to have a great time if you and choose to go, right? I want you to walk up and have a beer. Courtney, I want to serve you a beer, and I want to say thank you for being there, right? If you go. Chris, I'll buy you one at the next game, because you're not going to be there. I appreciate that, and I respect that of you. That's me for this.
And also I'm having surgery today, so I'm gonna get my life for a while, so that's what's happening.
Online comment says, I second all of this that was just said and feel that a full-on boycott of this game does nothing and opens us up to widespread ridicule. We have other avenues of action to voice and show our displeasure with how this is being handled that are both smarter and more effective. And that comes from Andrew Kunkel.
So I would like to say that and the board knows this, I've been pretty quiet when it comes to using that word, boycott word, around this. Mainly because I think once we use that word, that's the word that we tie around this, and we as a board or we as a membership decide that that's what we're doing, we're walking ourselves in to any kind of retribution, any kind of split amongst the fan base. There is a large group of Crew fans that are up in Cleveland. I am sure they are just super happy that they get a game local, and they're super excited to make that game their own and to be able to show up locally and support their team, because they aren't able to do it in that way all that often, right? They have to drive down multiple hours to Columbus if they want to support their team. So at the same time, there are many, many members who have already expressed, and I think we've seen that over the past 24 hours, that they want nothing to do with this game. And I think at the same time, we also have to respect those members. So I just want to kind of bring up those two sides of the coin here, in that we have a group of fans who want to make every game be there for the players, make every game a special experience, especially the ones that have never had the opportunity to have a local soccer game there before, right? And one who are maybe more local, who think that this is a cash grab, and we want to try to find a way to fight against this in every possible way. And so I think it's up to us as the board to try to find a way to rectify the fact that we have two competing interests and thoughts and viewpoints towards this game.
You guys don't know the situation.
Gordon.
Norman has his hand up for like 10 minutes.
I'm sorry. Throw something at me next time. Okay.
To Jen's point, I, as a member of the drum corps, if we're an embarrassment because we're not there, this is a decision that was made for us, without us. And I'm always there for crew games, every single time. That's free labor that I provide the club. And I do it willingly, because I love the club and I love the people around me. But the club is taking advantage of me. And the club continues to take advantage of us.
I'm not saying, please, I think you misunderstood what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you're an embarrassment. I'm not saying that what you do. I love the Cabos. I got to do it last year for the first time. And I love the jumps. I don't get to go to Nordecke very often simply because of my knees. I can't stand for a whole game. What I'm saying, right?
Jen, what I think you're trying to say is.
I don't want the
Okay.
Nordecke to be an embarrassment. I don't want it to be a nationally televised game and be too. I don't want that.
And then
That's what
I
I'm saying.
lose my free will.
But I understand that, but I'm saying as a group, we are proud, we are important to this group, we are important to this. This is what I'm saying, and I understand, and I want you there, I want you to be part of it, and I understand the safety part, and I understand people not wanting to go to the game. What I'm saying is it's all or nothing, and it can't be half-assed. It can't be, it cannot be, because then it's an embarrassment. It's the same as we're boycotting, what was it last year, we were boycotting, and everybody, something, and it's.
I think Courtney said it right. Let the game day talk, let them figure out what they want to do to come back. Because Norm, I would love to have you there to hear your drums. I love it. I love you guys every time you do it, right? And I would love it. I would love to show the fuck out of everybody that what we can do, right? Because we are a proud group. We are the loudest group I've been to other games, right? We've all been to other stadiums. We do a hell of a job. And I'm very proud. I think you're right. I don't want somebody to see that on TV and go, what the fuck? They got one guy drumming. Where the hell are their people? Right? But let you guys decide. If you don't want to do it, I'm with you. If you come tell me, Scott, I'm gonna rent a U-Haul and let you drive up a truck and put all the drums in your back for that, right? Granted, we look at trucks. Let's go rent a U-Haul. Throw it in the back. Drive them up. If that's what you need, I will support you and I will make sure we get you what you need to be there. Right? I wanted the Harambe 2 sticks. I love that one. It's what I love going to Cincinnati to see. I would love to see those there.
They're not allowed.
I know. No, even at Cincy? Oh.
I was like, excuse me, now we boycott.
Yeah. But you see what I'm saying? Let everybody make your decision. If you come back and you want to go, Norm, and you guys want to take your drums, we'll fucking figure out a way to get them there. We will figure out that way so you guys can be there.
So we have to wrap this up unfortunately because of time, even though I'm not my 10 freaking minutes back that they wasted. I want to give that. We gotta wrap this up. I didn't think we'd talk about voting and meeting or anything tonight, but it is important to keep these discussions going until we're at a point where we need to make a decision, and that is gonna be sooner rather than later. I don't want people to think we're dragging our feet on this. I don't want people to think that we're leaving really quick, because then I do want Darren to speak, because you're about your piece.
So we are eternally critical of the front office for constantly saying, we'll get back to you, we'll get back to you, we'll get back to you. I don't want our members to feel like we're in the same thing, so I'd like to hear the board commit to making a decision by a certain date. And I'm okay tabling it and coming back to it, but.
Can we say sometime at the beginning of next week, since we do have a game in 2 days?
Can we
have a Cappy game?
Instead of doing beginning of the week, because that's wide, I'd like to choose. I'd like to get like a date.
The town hall next Wednesday is a perfect.
Okay.
We will make a decision.
We'll have a decision by the town hall.
Update. Don't make a decision. So you can even update.
That's fair.
Don't put yourself in the, sorry, I don't want you to lock yourself down.
Well, what I was gonna say is that use the town hall to take more feedback from people who aren't here, who aren't able to, whatever, and then maybe Thursday or Friday.
Okay.
You also they asked for 5 and less numbers by the 5th.
Well,
I've pushed back on that, and I told them they'll get the final numbers the week before the game, as I initially told them from the beginning when we had this set up.
all right. Oh, no more all rights. I'm shutting y'all up.
And I'll make this real quick, as quick as I can. So, for those who don't know me, I'm Darren Cole. I've been a crew fan since '96, actually '94 when they announced the crew. I've been around soccer for 50 years. Back on the 19th, I just celebrated 9 years clean and sober. I started going to tailgates here since basically toward the end of the old stadium and in the new one, LDC, started going to tailgates. For me, when I quit drinking 9 years ago, it took me about a year and a half before I could start coming back to crewing because of all the alcohol. I couldn't be around it. Of course, you know, I'm used to it now. It doesn't bother me at all. Last week was the first time I started a non-alcoholic tent where I was providing mocktails, non-alcoholic beer, you know, of course, water and soda, whatever. You know, for those who, basically, I'm trying to draw, because I've heard through the grapevine, people don't want to come to the tailgate because it's all about alcohol. So I want to see other people come enjoy the tailgates, have an alternative, so they don't feel obligated or feel like being pressured because there's so much alcohol going on at the tailgates. Trust me, soccer, alcohol, it goes hand in hand. I've been around it my entire life. I played soccer my entire life. So yeah, I'm just trying to give an alternative. Most of the feedback I got was, you know, you need more signage. So basically, I just need to get some feedback. You know, I've been talking to Courtney last year about this, and I think this is a good time to start this. So, you know, and it's just not the person who's not drinking, it's also the person who might be on medication. They can't drink for a couple of weeks. Might be the person who is pregnant, you know, can't have any alcohol. It just gives an opportunity for somebody to have an alternative when you come to the tailgate to have fun, you know, and then also for those who are thinking about quitting alcohol, you know, I want to bring in the whole mental health. That needs to be, I think we need to do more on mental health, depression, anxiety, and all that kind of stuff as a community. You know, that's something the Nordics can look at. So basically, that's all I wanted to say. And I just want to get some feedback on what I can do. I know we already have the alcohol tent. I've heard, why don't we just have it here where all the alcohol is at?
Next to the alcohol.
Exactly. So having just separated from the alcohol tent, you know. So
if you are open to the idea, the next time we have a meeting with the front office, I will suggest the idea of a sober section in Nordecke as well to carry on, because I feel like what you're doing is important, and if it stops at the tailgate and it doesn't continue into the stadium, then we can't really effectively manage what your mission is for the next 90 plus.
And my mission is not to make people quit drinking.
But to provide a safe space.
Just to provide a safe space.
Yeah, and that's.
But I mean, like I said, it took me a year and a half to come back. Everybody's different. Okay, I have no problem. I can have alcohol in my house, and I'll never touch it. I have no problem with it.
Yeah.
Some people do. You know.
Yeah.
So
there's an opportunity for us to take what you've started.
Yeah, and I did get a lot of good feedback online from people saying, "Hey, this is a great idea." You know, glad that somebody, you know, is starting this up. You know, what can we do? You know, so.
I think making your space distinctive would be good, whether it's flags or painting your tent. Everybody knows that.
Right,
the
exactly.
tent with the gold star on it is where you go.
Yeah.
And anybody in any corner of the tailgate that has their friend, you're like, "Oh, the gold star tent," or whatever your tent looks like.
If people come to the beer tent, I'll tell them what they ask.
Right.
Sometimes they'll ask, I'll say, go see that guy.
Yeah.
I'll go anyway.
All right, hold on.
I think you were hitting on this. An easy win is the comms team, we can all work together and get an updated graphic that shows exactly where you're going to park at.
Okay.
If you park in the same spot every time, we can get an updated graphic that says, hey, we got the beer tent in this corner, the NA drinks and the sober corners over here, set at the same time. That way, because we know people get into a reputation.
Say, park here,
Mhm.
and that way we have it on the map.
Yeah.
Everybody knows, hey, that's where we're gonna get a mocktail, we're gonna get a non-alcoholic beer, or, you know, whatever. So
Darren, you know the corner where I normally park?
Down by the access road.
Yeah.
Yes.
You should park there. I will absolutely gladly give up my parking spot.
Okay.
And I'll bring
We
you.
put you in the corner for a reason.
I know.
okay?
But I also started.
Nobody puts Bob in the corner.
I show up at 4 o'clock, so I'm there late anyway. I can hardly ever get to it. But you're there a 1:45 every week. So
Yeah, I can be in the.
that would be a perfect corner for you.
It's on the row.
It's on the row. It's
separate.
Yeah,
Yep.
and you know it's easy and easy out. It's a good place for a truck anyway.
Yeah.
The only responsibility other than what you're doing is that the reason I park there is so I can tell people that they have to leave the the access road open.
Now, the one question I do have, and I've been talking to Robbie about, is, like last week, Land Grant, A Mockery provided a case of mocktails. For me to go out and buy a case of mocktail, it costs $120. Okay, so of course it's not cheap. I went out to $150 on non-alcoholic alcohol.
Right.
To run to the tank. Which not a problem. I'll put up the Venmo. If people want to donate, that's great. What assistance can I get through the Nordecke is in help getting a signage or?
So with that, the people who did the non-alcoholic beverages last year with the cooler set up next to it, they kept all their receipts and then submitted them to Nordecke and got reimbursed for it.
Okay.
And if you need the email at for finance.
Yep. It'd be finance@nordecke.com. Just submit your receipts there and you'll get reimbursed for it. Just as long as you have them there. And then signage, work with comms. Myself, I've got the graphics from the old stuff. More than willing to help out. Yep.
I seen him a text yesterday about that.
They're not the easiest to get, guys. I'll be honest with you. You have to go to Lane Break to pick up.
Right.
I think Robbie and I I can tell you because I worked with Robbie very much on it last year. We tried every single game, but it's expensive to make those.
Oh, yeah.
So typically they donate one case. I will tell you, I was talking to the guys at Seventh Son a couple weeks ago, and they're looking at doing some of that for that. They are a great partner.
Yep.
And we can talk to Billy some more because they're doing some lemonade things and a couple of different things they're working through.
They also have the NA assistant.
Yeah, they have the NA assistant manager. So we can talk that we might be able to get you the NA assistant manager much cheaper.
That's what I was thinking.
Right? Or you can do the THC lemonade drinks too. But yeah. But no, I think NA assistant manager, would be probably the best.
Okay.
Seriously, because that's not that it's cheaper for them to make that beer. It's like O'Doul's. It's pretty cheap versus the
Yeah, that was
mocktails.
one thing I saw with Robbie. I didn't know who you guys were all partners with.
Yeah.
The breweries which ones actually did their own NA beer.
Work with Scott and Robbie and
Okay.
Ryan so they can get you a
Okay.
list and see what they can work with. And like I told you, if we need to come up with like some kind of punches that are, or things like that.
I mean, there's so many different kinds of mocktails.
We can come up with stuff like that, do that, so.
And use different jugs.
We definitely want to support that. I don't think we need an official vote on that on the board if anyone needs to, okay.
Now, I am not 100% sure that I will be here this Saturday. I'm going to try to, but with the amount of rain that's going to be hitting, especially during the afternoon and game time.
It's gonna be a swamp fest.
Yeah. Right now, they're calling for at least an inch and a half.
Yeah. But no, I love the idea. I love the initiative, and I think all nine elected and even the senior leadership can agree. We'll fully support this 100%.
All right, well, online and everyone here, I'm glad we could end on a happier note that we're all something positive.
Let's have a beer.
Thank you everyone online, thank you everyone that made it out here. And let's beat the Canadians on Saturday.